Welcome back to a Nosebleed Perspective, where we've been going through each division in the NFL so far and kind of breaking down each team and what their record's going to be, who's making the playoffs, who's not. This week we are in the NFC South, rounding out the whole NFC, and excited to talk about this one. As this, I feel like this division has definitely had a lot of changes through the offseason. So outside of really New Orleans, I would say. So we'll get right to it. We'll start with the Carolina Panthers. Oh, just real quick, the NFC South this year, they're playing the AFC West and the NFC North. So just keep that in mind as we go through. And we'll start with the Carolina Panthers. They have one primetime game this year versus the Falcons. Gibby, how do you see their season going?
All right, so the Panthers, they have about $6.5 million in cap space, but I don't think they're a win-now team, so I don't think they're too worried about that. I really like Matt Rule as a coach coming in. You know, he comes in from Baylor. Whenever he was at Temple, they were terrible. They were not known as a football team at all. After 3 years there, he has 10 win seasons in back-to-back years, so Baylor said, hey, come change our program after they – get that death penalty and everything that went on down there. They were 1-11 his first year, which had nothing to do with him. And then, 2 years later, they're a game in from Oklahoma away from making the playoffs. So I like him a lot. And I also like their offensive coordinator and Joe Brady. He's only 30 years old. He's super smart. He worked with the Saints for a little bit before LSU hired him. And as we all know, LSU's offense in the past has been awful. They've been Stone Age, ground and pound. He went down there and rejuvenated that whole team, and probably a big reason why they win that championship. So I like the coaching staff, but I don't like the players. Their wide receivers are pretty good. They get a quarterback that can, move the ball around and everything. But other than that, their defense is just not good. They only have one quarterback that played over 20 snaps last year, and they have a really bright future. If you're a Panthers fan, look forward to the next few years, but I think they only win 4 games this year.
4 games. All right. That's pretty low. But all right, so I have them going 7-9 this year. So and this division's, pretty tough if you look at the top 2, and we don't know exactly what Atlanta's going to turn out to be. But you talked about the cap space. I think they could possibly go out and maybe get another player right before the season. Maybe there's a few free agents out there, and maybe we could make an episode about that. So I think it'll help. They went out in the draft this year, and every single one of their picks was defense. So I think they know where they're at. Like you said, they're not going to win this year. I mean, granted, 7 wins is going to be a good season for them if that happens. But I think they drafted pretty well. They got the dude the defensive tackle out of Auburn. And I think DJ Moore possibly can break out this year. I think he's a good receiver. Fun fact, he had more yards last year than Hopkins and Stephon Diggs. So
really,
with Kyle Allen as his quarterback, not saying Teddy Bridgewater is like this awesome quarterback and is going to make him into a superstar, but he can, like you said, spread the ball. And you got Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel. They have some good receivers, like you said. Dante Jackson, I think he's a pretty good young quarterback. Like I said, they addressed the defense in the draft, and we'll see what they do. I think they're an interesting team in my eyes. Just that the players that they do have, they're really young on defense. You got Kuechly who retired, which had to be tough for Panthers fans. Yeah. But 7-9. So we'll see what happens. I think with that division, they can get lucky and win a couple games, maybe like one against New Orleans, just because they play them so often. 7-9. Cheech.
Yeah. No. This is a terrible team, I think. I mean, their receivers are all right, like you said. They got Robbie Anderson from the Jets. That's all right. We'll survive without him. Teddy Bridgewater, I'm not really sold on him, but I'm also not a non-believer. I think that he can ball out. So this might be the year that he shows that he's a QB1. We'll see. But if he doesn't show that, good luck with Will Grier. One thing that I found funny, listening to the both of you talk, neither of you mentioned CMC. Obviously, we know CMC is the Panthers, but neither of you mentioned him. So the fact that he's getting paid $16 million, and he's not even being talked about, when discussing a team, it shows that, I don't know, maybe the Panthers were a little wrong in paying him that much money.
I think we know
I mean,
what we're gonna get out of him, so it's not worth
exactly. Yeah,
even
we're
talking
gonna
about.
we're gonna get 10 catches and we're gonna get 30 touches a game out of him.
Which is
But
what Bridgewater needs too. He needs a good running back. In Minnesota, they won games with a good running game and him being the quarterback. He's a good
yeah.
manager.
It's just that one piece isn't the answer. And I mean, like you guys said, losing Luke Kuechly, that's terrible for them. I apologize to the Panthers fans. Carlos, a Panthers fan, I apologize. But I got them going 3-13. I don't think that they're going to be a 7-win team. I don't think that they're going to win a game until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're going to go 0-10 to start the season. They're lucky they play the Lions. That's going to be their first one of the season.
You really think they're going to go 0-10?
I mean, based off of like the past predictions that we've done, and then I think that the Raiders are a better team. I think that the Chargers are a better team. I had the Bears beating them. I had the Cardinals beating them. I've got the entire NFC South beating them. I've got the Chiefs beating them. So, I mean, like, if you look at their competition in the first 10 weeks, like, they're not playing slouch teams in there. They're lucky they play the Lions. So, yeah, 3-13. Teddy's going to earn that starting job. He's going to stay as a starter. He's just
going to earn it.
It's just going to be rough. It's just going to be rough. It's going to be a rough season for the Panthers. 3-13.
Well, sounds like I'm the only one who has a little bit of hope with them this year. So,
yeah.
Cheech, you want to go ahead and lead us off with the Falcons?
Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons. I've got them going 7-9. Looking at their depth chart, originally I didn't think they would do as well as 7-9, which obviously isn't that great. But I think that they could go. I have them going 7-9, and I think they could go better than that. It's just going to be a matter of how locked down Matty Ice is this season. They got Todd Gurley. I think that he could be a great addition to the team. Obviously, they've had a good backfield in the past with Devontae Freeman and before Tevin Coleman went over to the Niners. But like they've always had good weapons back there. But I think that Todd Gurley, one, has a chip on his shoulder after what happened with him in the Rams. And going to a new team, I think it's just be great for him. I think Matty Ice wants to have a standout season again. He's always been a good quarterback, but I feel like he's been declining in recent years, and I think that he's gonna stand out a little more this season. I mean, their defense is pretty solid in my opinion too. Overall, I think this is a good team. They did lose Austin Hooper, but they got Hayden Hurst, so they cleaned up that tight end issue. And yeah, I think that this is a good team that could probably do better than 7-9, but 7-9 is my estimate.
Yeah, it's fair. I had them going 7-9 too. I like how you brought up Hayden Hurst. I think he's a really good fit over there. He didn't really get to, show his true potential, I feel, in Baltimore just because they had 3 tight ends and Mark Andrews was just a beast, and Nick Boyle in him. But so I think it's a good fit. I think he can produce right away. I'm excited to see their first rounder, AJ Terrell, out of Clemson. I don't know if his game's going to translate the way they might imagine, but I'm excited to see if it does because I think he has a lot of potential. So, and they had to replace was it Trufant? So I'm pretty excited about that. I have them going 7-9. Like I said, Todd Gurley is gonna, if you watch him last year, he still can run the ball. He played a lot last year. I mean, he'll be on the uprise with his touches, I think. So they got 2 primetime games against the Packers and the Panthers. So 7-9. Who knows what this team can do? Like you said, you talked about their depth chart for the past 5 years. Obviously, they had the Super Bowl appearance, but the past couple of years they've been riddled with injuries on defense too. So they just got to stay healthy. They got some good players, but you never know what's going to happen with the Falcons as of recent times. So, Gibby.
Yeah, like you guys say, this team could win 6 games. They could win 10 games. I mean, that offense, like pretty much every offense in this division, could be very, very explosive. But it comes down to me again with the defensive side of the ball and the O-line. They do have cap issues, so them losing Hooper they had to there's no way they could have paid him, and for them to get a steal like you all said with Hayden Hurst at like $2 million a year.
Mhm.
And I think Hayden Hurst could actually be a better fit for the Falcons due to the fact that Julio and Ridley are deep guys, and Hurst could sit in them zones and make good plays, kind of like a Kelsey does for Kansas City. Their O-line's still in the bottom part of the league. For some reason, this organization doesn't want to help Matty Ice. I don't care how much ice you have in your veins. If you don't have an O-line, you're going to be scrambling around. But we know Fowler's really going to help with that pass rush. And then, I think this is the first team we all agree on. I think this team goes 7-9, but I would not put any money on this team because they could win 6 games. They could win 10 games. You just never know with the Atlanta Falcons. But if I had to bet, I would say they're an under 500 team, and maybe could be Matty Ice's last year, not due to the fact that he's not playing well, just because this team needs to rebuild at some point.
Yeah, and they get a couple tough draws too. They start off the season with Seattle, and then they go straight to Dallas after that. So that could easily be 0-2 right there, and between the division, it's just you just never know too. So good luck to the Falcons. But all right, Gibby, you want to start us off with the Saints? They have 4 primetime games against the Packers, Chargers, Bucks, and the Raiders. The Raiders getting some love on primetime this year.
New stadium.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vegas,
John Gruden's entertainment, but screw the Raiders. All right, so the Saints, I was surprised by this, but the Saints still have $9.5 million in cap space. So as you discussed, there's a lot of good free agents out there. They could grab 1 or 2, maybe a couple veteran guys that are ring chasing or anything. But we all know what the Saints are, what they try to do. And, with this whole Corona thing and everything, I think this is a real big advantage for them in this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
They don't add a lot of pieces. They are what they are, and they're going to be what they're going to be. And I think Kamara, we've talked about it before, I think he bounces back after a rough year. I think he realizes, hey, I've got to put my work in. They've got the best backup quarterback in the league, so don't be surprised if Drew Brees is injured for about 4 or 5 weeks at the end of the year to kind of save that noodle arm that he kind of gets at the end of the year. They have the best defense in this division. I think they walk away with it easily, walk away with this division, not even close, and take the number 1 seed in the NFC.
What's the record?
I think they win 11 or 12 games.
Okay. So they win the division for you. That's interesting. All right. Well,
conference.
Oh, okay.
Get the bye.
So do you think that
they're taking the bye? Do
you think they take that step and get to the Super Bowl this year, or what do you think?
I mean, they could. They're still going to have to go through the 49ers, and I'm a big believer in the Seahawks and everything. I really think that, Drew Brees is a smart guy, and he knows this offense, and they know what they're going to do. And no one in this division can stop Michael Thomas at all. Once they start having to play them other guys, I think they're a tough matchup for the 49ers. Mm-hmm. But I think if they have to end up playing like the Seahawks or something, it could be tough for them. But they do get to play the 49ers. I think they could give them a really good run for the money. So
and they
I think they could take that next step.
Yep, during the regular season.
Yep.
Interesting. Cheech?
Yeah, no, I got the Saints winning this division as well. I've got them going 12-4. They added a little protection for Drew Brees up there, again drafting Cesar Ruiz. Their O-line is solid, and putting that extra piece in there is really helpful. They gave Michael Thomas a little help by getting Emmanuel Sanders. And yeah, like you said, they've got the best backup quarterback in the league. They've got Jameis Winston back there, who's sure he threw 30 interceptions. He also threw 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. So if Drew Brees needs a break, or if they want to change up their plays or whatever, they got Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. And then they didn't change their defense a whole lot in the offseason, but they got a good defense as it is. They didn't really need to make any changes there. The Saints are 12-4. They are my number 2 in the NFC because I had the Niners going 13-3. But I do have the Saints beating the Niners in the regular season.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I have them going 12-4 as well. I think they're a solid team. Like Gibby said, they definitely benefit from this COVID-19 because, they're the same team. They know what they're going to do. Drew Brees is familiar with the system. Sean Payton and him have been together for 12, 13, 14 years. Maybe longer. I don't even know. But yeah, and I think this is going to be Drew Brees' last season. I think they have a great season once again. I think they make the playoffs, and they just can't get it done, and he just calls it quits, goes to work at NBC. I know he signed a 2-year contract, but I just feel like he's done after this year. I mean, how many heartbreaks can you take? So I mean, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Who Dat Nation, or is it Who Day? What the Bengals? Who Dat? Okay. Yeah, so I think it's his last year. NFL.com actually rated the Saints starting roster the best in the whole division. I think in the NFL as well. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Nice.
yeah, they're a good team. I mean, like you said, I think he might get injured, air quotations, at near the end of the year, and give him a break, because he has. If you watch him the past 3 or 4 years, he has not thrown a pass over 15 yards that was anywhere near accurate. He doesn't have it like he used to. I don't care. I know he's broken every record. I know he's the guy who's going to go in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Drew Brees is a great quarterback. He's been a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he just isn't that guy anymore. I don't care what you say to me. So yeah, 12-4. That's all I got to say about them. So, Gibby, what are your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Bucks?
All right, so everyone loves the Bucks because they love Tom Brady, they love Gronk, love all this stuff, and they talk about the improved defense, but that secondary is god awful. There's no one in that secondary who's good. They ranked 29th in scoring D last year. That's not counting pick sixes from Jameis Winston. That's even taking them away. So then they gave up the third most passing yards in the league last year, and I just don't think that they address that at all. They get Antoine Winfield in the draft, which I love that pick, but he's gonna take time, and they're a win now. And they do rush the quarterback well, so maybe they'll be able to bail out the corners this year. But their O-line, even let's say Tristan Wirfs does pay out, because we know the first round's a coin flip, if guys pay out or not. But their left tackle and Donovan Smith. Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the 46th best tackle in the NFL. It's just not good enough, for a team like this. They do have $5 million cap space, so maybe they do get, a veteran that wants to come over there and protect. Maybe Jason Peters comes down. He's old, but, give him one more year. Their D-line is okay, but I don't understand this fit. Why? If I could ask Tom Brady one question and he had to answer it 100% truthfully, it would be, why did you go to the Bucks? Is it because no one else offered him? Like, in my mind, the Bruce Arians offense and the Tom Brady arm and what he does, it just doesn't match up. It doesn't click. And I just don't know. Like, hopefully it works out. I'm not a Tom Brady hater or anything, but
sounds like
I just don't see what happens. And my question is, what happens when Mike Evans or the other wide receiver, Godwin gets hurt? Like, they have no depth anywhere else. Like, it's going to be right back in New England. Like, them wide receivers do get hurt, and they're coming off injuries. And I see this team winning 9 games, making the playoffs, and out in the first round.
Right on. That's fair. I mean, there's been a lot of hype around them. Cheech, what do you think about Tampa Bay?
Man, I got the Bucks going 9-7, but I've got them not making the playoffs just due to so many tiebreakers and just overcomplication with that. You know why Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because his initials are TB and Tampa Bay's initials are TB. He went to the Buccaneers strictly for marketing, so that because he's going to make more money on his TB12 brand than he is playing in the NFL for however. I mean, he signed a 1 year, right? 1 year, $25 million. He's probably made $25 million.
2 year 50.
Was it 2 year? Okay.
2 year 50, all guaranteed.
Okay. Well, maybe he hasn't made $50 million on Tampa Bay or Tampa Brady T-shirts yet, but it's going to come eventually.
If they win a Super Bowl, he'll make it.
Oh, absolutely. But they're not going to win a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. Tom Brady is – I love the guy. I love his image. I love what he's doing, especially now that he's not in the AFC East anymore. But it's about his time to retire. And say he takes one bad hit this season and Blaine Gabbert's going to lead this team to the championship? No. So, and like Gibby said, they got 2 good receivers after that. It's all untested. They've got some good tight ends, but I don't know, man. Their backfield, Ronald Jones didn't do anything last season, and now they got a rookie. They got Keshawn Vaughn, so who knows what he'll do? But Ronald Jones didn't do anything last season, so yeah. I don't think that this team is built to. This team is built to fill the stadium, i.e., they got Gronk, they got Brady, but beyond selling tickets and selling jerseys and T-shirts, this is a 9-7 team that I don't know. They're gonna make noise because of who they have, not what they're doing.
That's fair. I mean, you guys are really down on the Bucks. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, they have five. They have 5 primetime games: Rams, Saints, Raiders, Giants, Bears.
Part of selling tickets.
I think they win all those.
Every one of their primetime games?
Yeah.
All
right. So I think they open up the season. They take a loss to New Orleans just because there's so much hype going into everything. But New Orleans is hungry. That place is gonna be rocking, especially after everything going on. They're gonna take a loss there, and then they're gonna go on to be 14-2. Let me tell you why. They're gonna win the conference, NFC champs, get the bye.
Oh.
So
give me money.
Yeah, I think they go to the Super Bowl. I think they lose to the Chiefs. You said there's a lot of you said that secondary is god awful, but like I've said in I think 2 other episodes, that defense is not going to be as nearly under as much pressure as they've been the past couple of years. They're not going to be back in their own side of the field, having to defend 30 yards against the rest of the NFC South. They're not going to be in those positions. So because of all those interceptions, that's not going to happen. They're going to be cut in half at a minimum, so that's 15 possessions, like I've said before. Look, it's warmer in Tampa Bay. Tom, he has weapons now. That's what he wanted. He could still throw the ball. That's all I got to say about that. Like, I don't even want to talk about anything else. Like, they're going to win 14 games. They're going to the Super Bowl and taking a loss, unfortunately, because the Chiefs are just hot right now. But that's about all I got to say.
What?
The scheduler makers really gave them a break. Like, they really hooked up the Bucks, man.
Like, so
their last outside cold game is November 2nd against the Giants at the Giants. The Giants are awful.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's Carolina at Carolina in LA versus the Chiefs at the end of November, but that's at home. Then they get the latest bye in the league. All right, we want the Bucks to make the playoffs. Got it, NFL. Versus Minnesota, at Atlanta, at Detroit, and then versus Atlanta again. Like, they don't have to play in the cold until it's playoff time, and then they get
exactly.
smoked.
Before the schedule came out, and I know we know the opponents before the schedule releases,
right?
But I probably wouldn't have done this, but I'm looking at this schedule, and I'm telling you, he's going to be ready. This benefits Tom Brady. I don't care what system he's going into. I know you don't like the Bruce Arians system for him, but as much as they've said that they're not going to alter their offense to Tom Brady, they are. I mean, come on. They're going to. He's going to have
they have to.
Yeah, and it's going to work. It's going to be fine. I think they lose against Kansas City. I think they lose in New Orleans. The one I had trouble with was actually Carolina. I think they could possibly go into Carolina and lose, but I have them winning that game. So
okay.
But 14-2. I know that's
mind blowing.
I mean, this.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe in Tom Brady, and I think he brings a lot of leadership to that offense and that team. But this is like Bruce Arians isn't a joke of a coach. Like, if you're Tom Brady, go to a team that needs some leadership and needs some of that oomph. I feel like this team already had it because that's what he brings. He brings a cheap quarterback with a lot of leadership, and his arm talent is great, but it's not. He's getting up there, like we said with Drew Brees. He is getting older, and he's not going to make the throws. There's no way we can look at the film this year, last year, 2 years ago, and say that he's the same guy he was. And he doesn't have that defense that he has had in the past.
You're right about the defense, but they were a decent defense last year. The secondary, questionable, but like I said, there's going to be a lot of shootouts. They're going to win 14 games. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're NFC champs. And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
He turns 43 this year. In August, he'll be 43 years
He looks younger
old.
than all of us.
I mean,
Well, yeah, I'm here. So.
yeah. I mean, I got the great, yeah. But I just, I don't know, man. I'm excited. You
I'm
just
excited
gave me
for
so
him, too.
much excitement for this season. So that when they go 9-7 and miss the playoffs because of tiebreakers, be like, yo, that's a crazy 14-2 team there.
Yep, can't wait to be right
Yeah.
about that. So I'm feeling pretty good about this too. So so for the playoffs this year, how many teams and what teams make it to the playoffs? Gibby, what are your teams that make it?
All right, so like I said, this episode, I got the Saints with the 1 seed getting the bye. I think their division is just too easy to walk through for them not to. And they're just, like you said, Drew Brees is last year. He's going to be motivated. And I think they've got the pieces in place in the salary cap. Big believer in the Seahawks. So they get the 2 seed. And, they're going to stay – they're going to be healthier than they were last year. So, and they were 1 play away from getting a bye week last year. So, and then, of course, I got the Eagles, great coaching staff, getting the 3 seed. And the Bears being the division winner with the last seed at the 4 seed. Wild cards, obviously the 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers get the first wild card, the Bucks. And then the last one, I've been hammering all these teams. The NFC isn't what it used to be. Came down to the Packers and the Cowboys, and I just think it comes down to the Packers sneak in there, but, they get mollywopped by the Seahawks.
Mollywopped.
Cheech, what are your 2 teams or 3 teams or 1 team out of this division?
Well, out of this division, it
wow.
will only be the Saints making the playoffs. They're going to be the number 2 seed. The Niners are my number 1 seed in the NFC. Got Niners 1, Saints 2, Minnesota 3, Cowboys 4. Obviously, my Arizona Cardinals number 5.
I mean, what's more realistic? The Cardinals winning 11 games or the Bucks winning 14 games? Come on.
I believe about the same.
Yeah. And then after the Cards, I got the Packers. Packers at 6. That was a last-minute mathematical equation. And then the Eagles at 7. Fortunately, the Seahawks and the Bucks are not in the playoffs.
Oh, shit.
Jesus, that's a
big one. I like it.
Yeah.
So I just have the Bucks are getting the 1 seed. The Saints will get that first wild card spot. I don't know. Well, all right, that was interesting. So we'll be back next week with starting the AFC. What division you guys want to start with? We'll just start with North. You start up top.
We can go North again. Yeah.
All right.
The most exciting one, Baker Mayfield's.
Let's get it in.
All right. Well, good talking to you guys. We'll be back next week with the AFC. So stay tuned. Subscribe. Peace.